Hello, my name is Andrew Foster, and I'm here to talk about this upcoming Libra full moon on April 2nd. And some of the big themes are about betraying your passions for people pleasing and others. I have a few notes I'm going to be reading, so I'm looking to the left. That's why. But I'm basically just here to put the astrology that's happening into archetypal terms, but also to offer a reflection and what we can learn and grow from it. It makes no sense if I just say random astrological aspects if we're not actually reflecting and being mindful and use it to understand our reality, our perception, and also for us to grow. Tracking moon cycles can help us achieve more sudden insights that can make us grow and evolve faster with time rather than just being a wallflower and watching everything go around, but it can actually help speed up timelines and help us evolve sooner and quicker. And just because the planets are doing something doesn't mean your life is doomed or you're gonna be ruined. While working with spirit and being more mindful, you will be able to achieve more beautiful things and just be more presence and be in line with the higher power. First of all, you should always know your narrator. I am a Gemini rising, Sag Sun, Aries Moon. Crazy girl. But a lot of these themes for me are personally going through my 5th house and 11th house. 5th house is Libra, 11th house is the Aries collective. A full moon, if you don't know, is an opposition. We'll get into that more later. But this is also along my nodal axis, which is already very intense for me. My north node's in Aries. Initiating being a leader and starting things is uncomfortable. I mean, of course, my south node's in Libra, so I'm very comfortable being the peacekeeper, keeping everything at hands, and just like listening to both sides. I love just like listening to both sides. Like I can play devil's advocate. That's a little secret power in Libra. But I'm realizing this whole concept of being a peacekeeper is actually being a detriment to my Aries self of being uncomfortable and initiating, because a peacekeeper is dealing with two sides, but not the full self. And you realize, oh, I've been doing this so long, I haven't actually done stuff for myself. So now I'll kind of go through the main astrological aspects of this Libra full moon and then break it down into terms for each. So first of all, a full moon is an opposition between the Aries Libra axis. We've kind of been talking about this. A full moon is a culmination of like a 6-month seeding cycle from the Libra new moon back in October 2025. So what's been brewing since then? I really just take a minute to think about any personal growth, any things you've been realizing with your people pleasing, trying to balance things with others, and then also where does yourself fall in that equation? If you don't know what Libra is, their symbol is a scale, or like the justice symbol. And I was riding my bike to class the other day, and there was a sign on a street bridge. It was like justice versus just us. There's no like higher power justice. It actually is just us in our world. If you're a peacekeeper, you're giving both sides a story. You got to actually make sure you're a part of the story. It's just us here, not someone else's morals, someone else's stories. You're part of the story. The self is not a full authentic self here. It's consumed with othersness, like a bystander being a mediator. For me, Libra falls in my 5th house of passion. I think also put my sun sign as like the ascendant. Aries becomes the 5th house. So I'm like, oh, no matter what, 5th house themes is very important to me right now. Talking about love, passion, and self. Because I realize I've been having lack of passion with my life lately just because I've been constantly consumed with what other people think, what other people want me to do, and people pleasing. And I've been lacking authenticness because I've been trying to fit into societal norms, expectations, and not really just being authentic and doing what I want, being the freaky weirdo that I am, be the change you want to see in the world is a big key point. And here's a little story analogy. Do you know the difference between being nice and kind? I've been a little too nice. You know that Taylor Swift quote? That's not really a quote. You can't really quote that saying. But nice is fake, very surface level, and it's like being helpful in a certain situation just like, oh, it's a little band-aid, but not actually solving the root problem. Versus being kind is really caring about someone and wanting to help them more long-term. For example, if I help my sister with math homework, being nice would just be like me solving the homework for her and want to get done quickly. But being kind would actually be sitting down, going through the hard part of teaching it and taking a lot more time. But then she would actually be able to do it on her own in the future, which is much more kinder, even though there's a instantaneous like initial discomfort, but rather long-term, both sides, parties can grow from it. And being kind long-term, very powerful, very powerful. And I think where I was going with this was being kind by being yourself. If you're being nice to other people by how you're acting, where I was going with this is being kind is being your true self and making people uncomfortable initially, but then actually learning how to be yourself around others and like have the conversations, the uncomfortableness of being yourself will actually cause you and other people to grow more, rather than being nice and just being quiet. Being what other people want will actually just hurt you more long term, and I've been experiencing that. So yes, Aries is my North Node initiating. Very, very difficult. But as Aries initiating, I can treat other people and teach them how I want to be, and then we can actually have important, uncomfortable conversations and grow and still be our true authentic selves, rather than just avoiding it and actually think critically and grow. I've been such a diplomat, I can't really remember the last argument I've had. Like, anger is a good emotion because it can tell you where like a clear boundary has been crossed, and I think over time I've just tried to avoided fighting, arguing, because my childhood trauma, I always just equated that with negativity, but arguments can actually be civil and held orderly. My lack of arguments and like anger and rage shows that I've fallen into the negative traits of a Libra diplomat in my 5th house. Like, anger is such a useful and clear and passionate emotion, and like it can tell you so much more information, and you can use that positively to help course correct whatever happened. Like in 10 to 16-year-old me, I used to have such like wild, intense Jupiterian emotions where I'd like at school at lunch, I didn't have a stress ball, so I'd just start bending metal forks crazily, and then like I'd put them back to the original shape, but it was perfect, and then we'd have weird forks at home, and I'd be like, oh, the dishwasher is strange, but no, it was crazy little boy. So now the uncomfortable opposition of the release of these Libra themes imposes a oppositional tension of embracing the I and the self of Aries for the benefit of the collective through uncomfortable conversations, growth, and how can you, being authentic, rebalance the scales, essentially. And currently there's so many planets in Aries right now initiating change in the self, and the I is such a big theme for the whole month of April, as that's Aries seasons. Pluto is also sextiling these themes broadly, not exactly for this full moon, but all the planets in Aries will be sextiling Pluto, which is just an additional support axis. A supportive aspect is a sextile 60 degrees apart, but Pluto is offering some death and rebirth, so like you can like burn down the forest and then also have clear soil to plant new seeds, which is very exciting. Along this opposition, which is 180 degrees, there's a 90-degree aspect to Cancer, so it's a cardinal square. It'll make like 90 degrees, half a square between the 180, if you know. I can't do it like that, but you know, you get it. So Jupiter is exalted in Cancer, and before I knew astrology, I couldn't tell you that because I'm a little Sagittarius boy. My mom's a Cancer, just really close relationship, and I like, even though there isn't an exact common aspect between Jupiter and Cancer, there's Sagittarius and Cancer, they obviously get along very well. I think the square is adding a little bit of nurturing to all this tension that I experienced. It's the mother that says, just go to bed, you don't need to do everything immediately, but just like one little act a day of radical self-honesty and authenticity is still a step closer to the person you want to be. And I really encourage that. Natally, I'm experiencing a month-long Jupiter square my natal Jupiter, because this Jupiter Libra full moon is happening at like 12 degrees of Libra. My Jupiter natally is at 15 degrees Libra, which is close enough aspect. But Jupiter just stationed direct at like 15 degrees of Cancer. And since if something is stationed incorrect or turning around, you have to slow down to turn around. So it's been sitting at Jupiter 15 degrees for like a month now. So I have a month-long cardinal square in my chart, which has been a lot, but I've learned it's like a square between my 2nd and 5th house. So I can find stability, yes, and money for doing careers and things I'm not passionate about, but like it's killing me passion-wise, and I realize, oh, if I just be myself and do what I want, it will all work out. And I don't need to mute myself to make others more comfortable. I'm done muting myself. myself. And so yeah, the whole Jupiter and Cancer here, I think, is just saying baby steps still count, and just, it's okay. Nurturing yourself and being your true self will make positive impact, but that will only come in when I put in the daily work and like sit in the discomfort sometimes. What are your overall thoughts on these themes? Do any of these resonate with you? What's your sun, moon, rising, or any big aspects happening in your chart that you're experiencing here? Let me know. I'm happy to further these conversations. These are just a lot of the themes I'm resonating with and thinking about it. Just trying to be more authentic. I want to have a conversation, so leave something below. And yeah, stay sexy, stay hot, girl. Cool girl shit. You know.